Woman who drank stars. Chupacabra's testimony. They found the goats on a Tuesday morning, all 37 of them, drained white as candles. No blood in the dirt. No blood anywhere. Just the puncture wounds at the throat, precise as a lover's kiss, and the animals' faces locked in expressions of something that wasn't quite terror. Something closer to rapture. Don Esteban swore he saw the creature. 8 feet tall, he said. Gray skin like a corpse. Red eyes that glowed. Spines down its back like a demon from hell. The newspapers loved it. El Chupacabra, the goat sucker. Another monster for the modern age. But Don Esteban didn't see a monster. He saw me. And I am not 8 feet tall. I am 5'3". I am not gray. I am brown-skinned, dark-haired, ordinary in every way except one. I cannot stop drinking blood. Not want. Can't. The thirst is a living thing inside me. Has been since the experiment, since they made me into this, since I became the thing that haunts the ranchos of Puerto Rico, Mexico, Texas. Anywhere desperate enough and poor enough that missing livestock are written off as mysteries instead of investigated as crimes. My name is Dr. Carmen Solís. I am 43 years old. I have 2 PhDs and used to believe in science as salvation. This is how I became the monster they call Chupacabra. 1995. The pharmaceutical company was called Viticorp appropriate, since vita means life, and they were in the business of extending it. For the rich, of course. Everything is for the rich when you scratch deep enough. I was their lead hematologist, recruited from the University of Puerto Rico, with promises of unlimited funding and revolutionary research. We were going to cure anemia, they said, develop synthetic blood, end transfusion shortages, save lives. They lied. What they really wanted was immortality, or the next best thing, radical life extension through enhanced hemoglobin. They discovered something in vampire bat saliva, a protein that prevented coagulation, yes, but also seemed to slow cellular aging. They wanted to synthesize it, make it safe for humans, sell it to billionaires who thought death was something only poor people had to accept. I was brilliant. I was ambitious. I was a brown woman in a white man's field, and I wanted to prove I belonged. So when they asked for volunteers for the first human trial. I volunteered myself. "Are you sure?" Dr. Morrison asked. The head researcher, my boss, a man who'd never had to prove he belonged anywhere. "The animal trials have been complicated." Complicated how? Behavioral changes, increased aggression, photosensitivity, a preference for blood. "In rats," I said. "We're not rats." He smiled. That patronizing smile I'd learned to hate. "Of course not, Dr. Solís. Of course not." They injected me on Monday. By Wednesday, I could taste copper in everything. By Friday, I couldn't stand daylight. By Sunday, I killed my cat and drank it dry without meaning to, without wanting to, my body moving on its own while my mind screamed. By Monday, I wasn't human anymore. The changes were not subtle. My canines elongated into needle points. My skin became hypersensitive to UV light sunlight felt like acid. My metabolism shifted entirely. Food made me vomit, but blood sustained me like nothing else could. Most terrifying, the thirst. A hunger that lived in my veins, that made every heartbeat sound like an invitation, that turned every living thing into a walking beverage. Morrison was fascinated. "Incredible," he said, watching me through the observation glass. I was in an isolation room by then, and had been for 3 days. "Your cellular regeneration rate is remarkable. You're aging backwards, Carmen. This is everything we hoped for." "I killed my cat," I said. "My voice is different now. Raspier, like I'd been screaming. I didn't want to, I couldn't stop. Well, work on behavioral modification. It's just a matter of calibration. I want you to reverse it. Give me the antidote. Make me human again." His smile faded. "There is no antidote. The changes are permanent. But that's good news, Carmen. You're going to live forever. You'll never age, never get sick. You're the future of humanity. I'm a monster. Your progress." He checked his clipboard. "We're going to synthesize your blood. Create a version without the dietary requirements. You're the prototype, the proof of concept. You should be proud. Let me out. You know we can't do that. You're too valuable, too dangerous. You'll stay here, help us refine the formula, and eventually, well." I threw myself at the glass. It cracked, not much, enough. His face went pale. "That's 3-inch reinforced polycarbonate. I'm progressing," I said, "remember." They sedated me. Increased security. Started talking about permanent containment. That's when I understood. I would never leave that facility as anything but an experiment. They would keep me there forever, studying me, harvesting my blood, using me to perfect a treatment they'd sell to the wealthy while I rotted in a cage. So I escaped. The thirst makes you strong, inhumanly strong. I bent the bars of my cell, killed 3 security guards, without meaning to the smell of their blood was overwhelming. My body moved before my mind could stop it, and fled into the Puerto Rican night. I ran to the mountains. The Central Cordillera, where the towns are small and the forests dense. I thought I could control it. I thought I could resist the thirst. Thought wrong. The first farm I found, I killed 8 chickens before I realized what I was doing. Drained them completely, cracked their bones to get to the marrow. The farmer found me at dawn, covered in feathers and blood, and screamed. I ran again. The pattern repeated: goats, sheep, cows. I tried to control it, tried to take only what I needed, but the thirst was smarter than me, stronger than me. It turned me into an efficient killing machine that left exsanguinated livestock in its wake. The stories started spreading. El Chupacabra, the goat sucker, a monster from the mountains. Descriptions varied. Some said reptilian, some said canine, some said alien. No one described what they actually saw. A woman, brown-skinned and desperate, trying not to kill, but unable to stop. I became a cryptid, an urban legend. A monster parents used to scare children into obedience. And Corp, they disappeared, shut down operations, destroyed all records. Morrison and the others vanished into corporate anonymity, their experiment sealed away, their victim transformed into myth. No one would believe me if I told them. Who would? A woman claiming to be a scientist, experimented on by a pharmaceutical company. It sounds like a conspiracy theory. Science fiction. Easier to believe in monsters. 28 years. That's how long I've been running. Puerto Rico to Mexico to Texas to Arizona. Anywhere the border between legend and reality is porous enough that a woman who drinks blood can survive in the cracks. I have not aged. Morrison was right about that. I am 43 and look 25. My cells regenerate faster than they degrade. I could theoretically live forever, forever drinking blood, forever running, forever alone. I have tried to die. The thirst won't let me. Starvation just makes it stronger, makes me hunt compulsively until I've drained everything in sight. Sunlight burns, but doesn't kill my regeneration too fast. I tried silver, religious artifacts, and all the vampire myths. None work, because I'm not a vampire from folklore. I'm a woman mutated by corporate greed and experimental medicine. The legends say I attack people. I don't. I can't risk it. Human blood would be the thirst that says it would be transcendent. Better than animal blood, the way heroin is better than aspirin. But if I started on humans, I'd never stop. I'd become the monster they already think I am. So I stick to livestock. Goats mostly. They're common in rural areas, easy to access, and their blood sustains me for days. I try to choose farms that can afford the loss. I try to be quick, painless. I try to remain human in the only way I can, by choosing my victims carefully. But I am still a killer, still a thief, still the reason subsistence farmers lose their livelihoods. The guilt is its own kind of thirst. I met another one 3 years ago, in Sonora. I smelled her before I saw her. Blood and desperation, particular chemical signature of someone whose hemoglobin has been fundamentally altered. Her name was Lucia. She was originally from Honduras. Kidnapped by a cartel-funded research facility, experimented on, transformed. They were trying to create super soldiers, she said. Men who could fight forever, heal from anything. They practiced on migrants, people who wouldn't be missed. She was the only survivor. How many of us are there? I asked. We were hiding in a cave, sharing a dead calf we'd found. I've met 4 others, she said. All women, all Latina, all from illegal experiments. They use us because we're disposable. Because if we escape and tell the truth, who would believe us? We could expose them, go public, show them what they created. She laughed, bitter. We're the evidence they needed to destroy. They have lawyers, money, and government connections. We have dead goats and teeth that shouldn't exist. Who wins that fight? We stayed together for 3 months. It was the closest thing to human connection I'd had in years. Then the hunters found us. Not scientists, actual hunters. Cryptozoologists and trophy seekers. They had infrared cameras, tranquilizer guns, and containment units. Lucia sacrificed herself so I could escape. Let them capture her. Last I heard, she was in a private zoo in Dubai, displayed for wealthy tourists as the real Chupacabra. I wonder if she's still alive, still hungry, still hopping. The stories have evolved. In the beginning, I was a reptilian, gray-skinned, alien. As time passed, the descriptions became more fantastical. Spines, red eyes, wings. The legend grew teeth and claws I don't have. People prefer monsters to be obvious, grotesque, inhuman. It's comforting to think you'd recognize evil when you saw it. But I walk through towns in daylight wearing long sleeves, sunglasses, SPF 100, and no one notices. I look like a woman. Brown, tired, carrying trauma in her shoulders. Invisible. That's the real horror. I am not special. I am what happens when corporations experiment on vulnerable populations. When profit matters more than ethics. When brown women's bodies are treated as laboratories for rich men's immortality fantasies. I am not a monster. The monster is the system that created me and then erased itself, leaving me to be blamed for crimes committed by men in lab coats. Last week, I found Morrison. He's retired now, living in a compound in Costa Rica, rich from patents derived from my blood, from Lucia's blood, from all of us they transformed and discarded. He has grandchildren, a yacht, a legacy as a pioneer in regenerative medicine. I watched him for 3 days, waited until he was alone in his study. Then I came through the window. He didn't recognize me at first. 28 years, and I haven't aged. He has. 73 now, gray and soft and mortal. Dr. Morrison, I said, remember me. His face went white. Carmen, but you should be dead contained, safely tucked away in your files as subject 47. I stepped closer. could see my teeth now, the changes that no amount of lipstick could hide. You said I was the future of humanity. Congratulations. The future is hungry. He scrambled for his phone. I was faster. Pinned him to his desk. His heartbeat was loud, so loud, calling to the thirst that had ruled me for nearly 3 decades. Please, he whispered. I have grandchildren. I can help you. We can synthesize a cure now. The technology has advanced. I can make you human again. You're lying, you always were. I'm not, I swear. Just don't kill me. I could smell his blood, aged but still rich. The thirst screamed for it. My teeth ached. My body prepared to feed. And I thought about Lucia in her cage, about the other women he'd experimented on, about the farmers whose livestock I'd killed, about the person I used to be who believed in science as salvation. I let him go, not out of mercy, out of spite, because killing him would prove I was the monster he made. And I refused to give him that satisfaction. You're going to live, I said. And every day for the rest of your life, you're going to know that I'm out there, watching, waiting. You made me eternal, Dr. Morrison. You made me patient. And someday, when your grandchildren ask about Chupacabra, about the monsters in the dark, you'll know the truth. The monster has your face, not mine. I left through the window, disappeared into the Costa Rican night. Let him live with what he created. I am writing this in a cave in Chihuahua. The thirst is getting worse, stronger. I fed 3 days ago, but I can already feel it rising, demanding, turning my thoughts predatory. I don't know how much longer I can control it. Someday I will slip. Someday I will cross the line from livestock to humans. And when that day comes, I will become the thing the legends describe, a true monster. But until then, I will testify. I bear witness. I write this truth and hide it in caves and abandoned buildings, hoping someday someone will find it. Someone will understand. El Chupacabra is not an alien, not a demon, not a cryptid from another dimension. El Chupacabra is Dr. Carmen Solís, hematologist, who trusted the wrong people and paid for it with her humanity. El Chupacabra is what happens when pharmaceutical companies experiment on brown women and then disappear behind corporate shells when their experiments escape. El Chupacabra is not one monster. We are many. All women, all Latina, all experiments that went wrong and were covered up. We are the price of progress, the cost of pursuing immortality, the sacrifice made on the altar of wealthy men's fear of death. And we are still here, still hungry, still hopping that someday someone will believe us. If you are reading this, you have found one of my testimonies. There are others, hidden throughout Latin America. Each one contains names, dates, locations, evidence of what was done to us. Morrison is not the only one. There are others like him, still experimenting, still transforming, still creating chupacabras and calling it science. If you believe me, investigate Viticorp for the shell companies. Follow the money. Find the women who went missing around pharmaceutical research facilities in 1995, 2001, 2008, 2015. We are not legends. We are victims. And we are still bleeding. The thirst is rising again. I need to hunt. There's a ranch 10 kilometers south. They have goats. I've been watching them for days, choosing which ones to take, trying to minimize the damage, trying to hold onto the last shreds of my humanity. But every day it gets harder. Every day the thirst gets louder. Every day I come closer to crossing the final line. Morrison said I was the future of humanity. He was right, just not the way he meant. I am what happens when we treat people as experiments, when we value profit over ethics, when we decide some lives matter less than others. I am the monster that progress creates, and then pretends not to see. I am Chupacabra, and I am so very, very hungry. The author's note. The Chupacabra legend first emerged in Puerto Rico in 1995, with reports of livestock found drained of blood through precise puncture wounds. The creature quickly became a pan-Latin American phenomenon, with sightings reported from Mexico to Chile, while traditionally depicted as a reptilian or canine monster. This story reimagines the Chupacabra as the product of unethical medical experimentation, a commentary on the documented history of pharmaceutical companies conducting trials on vulnerable populations in Latin America without consent or oversight. The real monsters, as always, are human.